I am Jaideep Bhagat. I am an architect and an urban designer by profession. I teach also. I also work with Rajiv, Vastu Shilpa Foundation, and I would be further working upon this project once it's finalized. We were also invited to attend all the lectures that were presented by the experts in diverse areas. And I think that was a good way to understand the various layers that have been part of Auroville since long, and including the amount of work that has been done till now. And it was a good way to kind of look at the knowledge which is existing here. And so it really briefed us. Later on, we interacted with the DreamWeaving team, and a lot of suggestions were shared with them, and the approaches and the processes were fine-tuned at a more coordinated process.
I'm Rajiv Katpalia. I'm one of the partners at Vastu Shilpa Consultants, and we are architects, urban designers, planners. We've been asked to engage with the detailed development plans for Auroville. What happened was when we were asked to sort of, take up this assignment, we were introduced to David, and David made a presentation about how they'd been going about dream catching and dream weaving. And I thought that's a fantastic way to go about actually having a community outreach and community participation. I sort of grabbed at the chance and said, hey, listen, can we make this as part of the process? And so I wasn't very sure at that point how this would sort of pan out, but it's been fantastic. It's been really, really a dream.
It's been a learning experience for us also, right from the expert session to the presentations of each architect and to the deliberations to the concluding sessions. We have seen how the ideas also have converged, and what are the critical areas that have emerged. So in that sense, it has helped us. And the process, of course, has brought a lot of diverse groups together to work with each other. Very much part of Auroville existence. And we wish to kind of take that further and build upon that.
I think it's been I'm absolutely amazed, firstly, the amount of talent that resides in Auroville itself. I mean, I'm not just talking about the architects, but I'm people experts in various fields, whether water or, infrastructure, or even in the different arts and, music and filmmaking and etc. So that's been quite a revelation, that how such a small set of small community produces excellence. That's, I think, amazing. The other part of it is that I see fantastic enthusiasm for the process that has been set in place now. And I see a sort of let's say, a common direction sort of coming out of this, emerging out of this process. And that's very important now, that if you're talking about a participatory planning system, then how do you get this in place is a very important aspect. How do you carry everybody together? Because any planning process is a complicated process. It's not a simple thing of just doing drawings or putting up, nice colors to say this is the land use. It is much more complicated because it's the dreams, aspirations, and hopes of the existing community. And they're also setting up precedents for the community as it grows, of people who will come by in the future and the kinds of aspirations they will have. So I think and their children, of course, children and grandchildren, because communities proliferate over time. So I think it's very important to have this kind of a community participation. It's a little premature to sort of come to that at the moment. I think let us digest the process as we've gone through right now. And in the next few weeks, I think we'll have a better idea of what we should tweak in the process, what things we should engage with a little bit more, and the time that are given. Because timing is never in our hands. Timing is something that is always a little out of people's hands. But how do you sort of participate is important.
It will be good to kind of engage with even much wider audience. There are a lot of other people in Auroville whom needs to be reached out, and maybe if they could also become part of this process, it would make things a lot more healthier for Auroville as a community. And such processes can be also adopted into diverse areas of economics and administration and all the other aspects that exist within Auroville. And it's a great benefit from them.
What stood out was the environmental and ecological concerns that everybody had, and the concerns of social cohesion, of tying up the social factors that bring up about community spaces, brings about public spaces. I think these were some things that were common to all of them. And they sort of embraced it in different ways, but I think these were themes that came out quite commonly.
Next steps for us would be to identify critical goals that have been outlined by some of these processes, because these are the goals of the residents and the architects who are living here, and these goals will become very important for us. From those, we would kind of identify the objectives that are aligned with the master plan, and try to filtrate those, and then bring upon concrete plans and guidelines based upon that. I guess there will be still few more sessions of such discussions and deliberations which will happen, and we slowly build upon that.
As I see it, if from this would emerge not only ideas that would sort of inform the planning process, but also it'll give an idea about short-term goals. I think there's some things, what we call low-hanging fruit. How do we sort of get that quickly so that the enthusiasm continues? There are, of course, some things that need to be looked at in more detail. More data needs to be sort of tested, and after that only can you come to a more concrete sort of outcome of that. Sort of a process that goes hand in hand with short-term and long-term goals.
I think what we have seen over here is the entire process has created this oneness, which has led to some kind of harmony among the residents and among different stakeholders within Auroville. We want to continue to build upon this harmonious relationship, because that will lead us to wholeness, which is very essential for Auroville to become one entity. And from that, this wholeness, we see the life within Auroville kind of emerging and defining the character and the innate nature of each being brought out in that manner. So I think this process would result into a very concrete decision making and expressions possibly in the future.
I think Auroville would be a beacon of an ideal situation where I don't know about the physical form and shape. I'm sure that we will, something will emerge that will fulfill everybody's ideas about that. But more importantly, it would be about a process of how people participated. And that in itself would be a great beacon for the ways that towns and cities grow. Because I think one of the things that misses out, the present planning process misses out, is completely involving people in a manner that actually gets implemented. So I think that would be a great change that would take place.
I think oneness, harmony, wholeness, life, character, and innate nature is what will define our path in the future. And I think that's a great learning for us also, because that is what we have learned from Auroville.